Deck profile for Mutant, Mr. Lee Huntington. He won our sort of like small locals that we had going on. I'll let you talk about the spice.
The goo.
The goo. The goo isn't going to come out until later, I don't think. It's just sort of standard mutants until that point. If mutants is a deck that you can consider standard.
3M05. 3 ST46, 2 mutant.
I'm assuming all this is sort of like standard mutant ratios at this point, right?
It is kind of standard. I would, if anything, play mutant at 3. Because of the engine that I'm running.
Do you want to give us a breakdown of sort of like what each of them do in case people don't know what they actually do?
So mutant, when it's summoned, search a mutant monster from deck to hand.
What's the most important part about this card though?
Easily, it's
level 2. The fact it's level 2.
Yeah, this is like the main man of the deck. Level 2 water. He is literally like the main cohesion of the deck. ST46, similar effect to M05. When it's summoned, search spell or trap of a mutant variety to hand. Mutant. It doesn't have a summon effect, but when it uses effect, it tributes itself and banishes from deck to special whatever it banishes from deck to field.
Big boys.
Then we've got the ratio of mutant boss monsters. If anyone says Mist is a no, you are wrong. This is your only answer to Floowandereeze. It's a wind attribute monster. that is literally it.
That's fair comment with how popular Thunder is at the minute.
If anyone says you don't play this and this is your ratio, they are just wrong.
So what's your reason on 2 of this?
2 of this.
I don't know the standard mutant ratio. So why not 1-1-1? Why 1-2-1?
This mutant beast is easily the best one. It's a spell negate banish. This is your only negate out of the mutant boss monsters. When it's destroyed, you can add a mutant trap card, which is banished back to hand, which your bread and butter is Mutant Cry, which we'll get onto later. Mutant Mist probably has the second best destruction effect of when it's destroyed, add a mutant trap back, which is add a mutant monster, which is banished from back to hand, which adds extension onto the deck. Arsenal is a monster banish. He's kind of blank, and in my opinion, he's probably the 3rd best overall. I think Mist is 2nd.
Okay, you think Mist is better than Arsenal?
Yeah, which is very uncommon. But with the format, with his attribute, with his destruction effect, and the draw 2 is nice. It just never really comes up unless they imperm. But if they try to imperm Synthesis, one of the extra deck monsters, you can chain Mist to banish Synthesis, so they miss the imperm target to draw 2, which is nice.
That's nice.
So you get the pop and the draw 2, which I think is insane. But that's, in my opinion, like the ratio's fact. Like there's no arguing about it.
That's fair.
Then the goo. The reason why I made this deck good tonight was Sprite.
Yeah, standard. You got level 2s in your deck? Are you playing Sprite?
Yeah, your standard mutant deck profile. You go 3 blue, 3 jet. You go 3 swap. 3 swap is probably arguable, but the only reason I'm playing 3 swap is all your mutants are water. So if you start with swap, there is like a nuts combo. But if you don't, it's whatever.
It's like win more if you're playing the 3rd swap, right? Because you don't need to be foolishing it with like Sprint. You can just
it's a self-made starter. I've let loose the goo.
He's summoning himself, right? So because all your sort of like mini mutants are water. So
and I can't emphasize how much totally awesome is good in this deck.
It's carrying. Like you get carried by Sprite combo.
Easily carries the deck. Yeah. I would cut Sprite just to play Swap Frog.
Just playing Swap Frog.
Just because of Toad. And I'd play like Dino Whiskus instead of Sprite.
It's a shame about what's his face then, isn't it? Ronin.
Yeah, it is.
Swap and Ronin gonna carry you if you had that option.
Yeah. Trap cards, we got 3 imperm.
Yeah.
That's probably like the only going second card unless we side.
You struggling with go second then?
Yeah, easily. If I go second, I probably lose. I got super lucky tonight.
To be fair, you didn't go. You went second a few times though. So,
yeah,
I don't know how bad it actually is going second. I mean, Zeus helps.
Zeus definitely helps. Without Zeus, I probably have no. I'm just relying on opponent not having follow up, and I Zeus the board, and then main phase 2 pop off, and kind of rely on the Toad re-add my starters.
Yeah,
and I'm looking for turn 3. I'm looking for turn 3 or 4. I'm not looking for turn 1.
It's getting you 3 cards in your hand though, right, Toad? If you're using it every time, you're getting 3 cards out of it, right? So you're replenishing your hand for it.
And I'm using Imperm if I'm really stuck and I don't want to use Mutant effect to banish from deck, I can use an Imperm to banish from hand to summon Arsenal. To then Mutant.
So Imperm has multiple purposes.
It's not like if I draw it going first, that's a cool interrupt, but I can also use it as banish fodder to get Arsenal out, to then Mutant, banish Mutant Beast. So if I've drawn Mutant Cry, I've got banish material in grave, so I don't need to jeopardize my field.
Okay, that's nice.
2 Mutant Cry. This is probably the best card in the deck.
Fusion traps, right?
Yeah, it shuffles back from field, graveyard, or banish, as long as they're face up, to fusion some mutant monster. It's either 3 level 8s or 2 of different attributes, which is why I like using mutant to banish Mutant Beast to special Mutant Beast from deck, because that is a guaranteed synthesis.
Yeah.
But if you can't combo the right way, then you're normally stuck with like all mutant waters in the graveyard, and you kind of get a bit stuck. The rest of the trap cards I got is 1 mutant expansion. I would swap this for mutant clash any day of the week.
So that's going to be a change you're going to make, or
yeah, easily. Because this deck revolves around using graveyard, whereas other variants use not the graveyard, like using D-Shifter and Floodgates, where they don't use graveyard.
Okay, you're not playing that because of the sprite.
And I would be playing Mutant Clash because of the sprite. I wouldn't be. I was playing this because it was a slow extender. Like I'd go first, my opponent would go second, end phase. Flip this, specials from deck, and it gets me a body on board, and then I can play next turn. Mm-hmm. But I would swap this for Mutant Clash any day, because it gives me an in-deck searchable Imperm, which also when my mutant monster, level 8 or higher mutant monster destroys, I get to draw a card which can draw me into the sprite combo.
Yeah.
Which
it's pluses.
Yeah, it's just a plus. And also just an in-deck searchable Imperm, which is nuts. 1 sprite double cross. I chose this over Smashers because I think this interrupt is so much better. Going second, maybe not as much, and maybe I'd consider siding it. But going first, I think this card is so powerful. I think it needs to be main decked. Considering that I'm not main decking Smashers, I think.
Are you siding the Smashers?
Not in this build, no.
Okay.
But it's something I would consider. And then we've got the spells. We've got E-Telly. We've got E-Telly 2.0. We've got E-Telly 0.03 to try and find the E-Tellys a little bit faster. We've got 2 Mutant Lab, purely because it is an extender. I can use Mutant to banish from deck Mutant M05 if I haven't found it. And then Mutant Lab to special M05, so I've got a level 2 body on the board.
Oh, that's nice.
And then I can go into my sprite combo if I need it.
It's kind of removing the cost.
Yeah, so I always will have the level 2 on board, so I can go into my sprite combo.
Yeah, that's nice.
Then for the ultimate goo, we've got the one card, and for those who are wondering, it is not Call by the Grave. It's this Hop Frog Squadron.
Fucking Hop Air Squadron.
Yes.
The rabbit.
Yes.
The goo.
If
And
you-
what's your reason behind this?
If you start with Swap Frog in hand, this is your gigantic sprite target, and then you use Swap Frog effect to bounce this back to hand. Continue with your sprite plays, and next turn you've got follow up. So if you get droplets, if you get dark ruled, if you get whatevered, you can just use this effect in hand, target a level 8 to go into Baron, or you can target level 2 to go into Herald of Arclight.
So either way you've got a negate.
They're my 2 negates. They're the only 2 negates that I can think of that are viable in this format.
That's nice though. That's like, and it
It's
comes up
the
often,
goo.
right? As long as when
That's
you're
the
opening
condition.
swap, it's like your next search target, right?
That's the condition. If I have a Swap Frog in hand, I can do this. If I don't have a Swap Frog in hand, I can't do this. And maybe this is cuttable, but I feel like this is also so strong. I feel like it's not.
Do you think it's win more? Or okay, so you think it's win more in terms of when you're playing normally? If you get dark ruled, it helps you play through it. But if you're not getting ruled, it's win more. If you're getting ruled, it's like shit. I needed that because it gives me, after I'm ruled, a level of I still have an interrupt, right?
I feel like it's kind of both, because sometimes sometimes I can like special red, and red can just be a dead card, and I can just use this to make red not a dead card because
Yeah.
it turns it into a monster negate to a monster spell trap negate. Or if I use one of my mutant cards to, if I've already used
the red, to be fair, like as a monster negate, and then use the hop here to make it a yeah.
And then if I've already used like beast effect, banishing 1 to negate banish a spell, I can just say like on res I'll use hop air targeting this and then flip into Baron.
You think hop here is a better target to grab than Hyperia, or is it testing you not tested Hyperia, or is it you think
Going first, I think hands down, I think this is better because drawing first is all about building your board and making it unbreakable. And my end board is normally with a Sprite Double Cross, Mutant Cry, at least 2 Mutant Boss Monsters. And the idea is if I do get outed some way by Forbidden Droplets, which is a common main deck out, I can still Mutant Cry until the boss monster, which is an Omni Negate. And if that fails, I can still hop here into Baron, which is still an Omni Negate. So they've got -1 for Dark Ruler. I've got an Omni Negate, and they've got 5 cards to make their board.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense.
That's my thinking anyway. Extra deck, pretty standard. Ultimus 1, Synthesis 2. You need Synthesis 2 because you want it. If it does get destroyed, you can use it as shuffle back target to get to Ultimus quicker. We've got Appaloosa.
Standard. Appo's just always good if you can use it, right?
We've got the level 2 targets, which is Masquerena, Elf, because we are quite often locked into level 2s. But
Just the one gigantic.
Just one gigantic, because the deck is kind of one and done. If I don't win turn 1, I probably don't win the game. Or if I am going to grind game, I'm heavily relying on mutants to win.
Okay.
Because they have a lot of grind game potential, like Ultimus when he's destroyed by battle or card effect. He can add 3 banished cards of different types back to hand. And normally, if I can resolve that during the grind game, I win just because of card effect.
Yeah, you get too much advantage back. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, like you're only using the sprites once, sort of thing, and then once you've used them, that's kind of it with them, right? Like you've used them turn 1, you've made your board, you've used the toad, and then after that you're playing mutants, right?
Yes.
It's to just give you a bit more gas on your turn 1 interrupts, right?
Yeah, if I can get like 7 to 9 interrupts on turn one, it's normally game. Then we got some abnormal links. We've got Underworld Goddess, just because she can out-tower us. We got Unicorn as another IP target. It can come in. Normally, I find I just go into Appaloosa.
Going first, yeah, but going second, like...
It kind of depends how it plays out. Normally, I'd say about 90% of the time, I just go Appo from IP. But being locked into level 2s, I have to go IP, like, 100% of the time.
And then do, like, more advanced link
And then
your opponent's turn.
on your opponent's turn, when you're not locked in, I have to do X, Y, and Z to make sure I can try and finish them off. Access code, it does come up. It's a game-winning card. It's a game-winning card in itself. If they can stop me outing all their board, and I can go to turn 3 and get this on the board, I don't see how they win. It's just a game. It's a win con in itself. Zeus, in case I really struggle breaking the board, but to be fair, without Zeus, I don't think Sprite or Mutant can break the board without this. I feel like it's mandatory, but I might be wrong. And then,
are you playing a? You're not playing a target like a rank up target for Zeus, so like Downed or something. So you make like to stack on top for the extra material.
I wanted to. I just didn't. Purely have nothing else to cut in this deck.
What are you normally dropping the Zeus on top of then, like the Gigantic or?
Sky Calf.
Oh, yeah.
So I go battle phase, I'll spin something that's threatening because the effect is damage calc only.
So you're getting the sort of one board wipe with the
So
Zeus,
if they have something that's like I don't know, normally negate. Like if they had a Toad, for example, if I'm against a matchup, I would swing this into Toad and bounce it back to hand because not all effects can be activated in damage calc. Main phase 2, I would just throw Zeus on top. It would only be a Zeus with 2 material, and that is just normally enough.
Still a board wipe though, isn't it? So it's still good.
If it gets negated, it gets negated. But if I get to that point where they've still got an imperm set, then yeah, fair game. I've normally done enough by this point to bait out an imperm.
You've won right at that point.
Yeah.
And if you can hold that Zeus till the opponent's turn, you've definitely clutched it up at that point.
And the last hobby target is Baron de Flor for the level 10 once I've used the mutant effects.
So you're playing that and the Herald, yeah?
Yeah, it's... no, the Herald is not in there. I thought I had it in there. I feel like it's missing. But it didn't come up today.
Have you got 15 there or you got 14? I know a couple of cards.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm missing the Herald.
Okay, yeah. It's cool. It's one you proxied. It's one you borrowed. Sorry, not proxied. Alright, yeah. I'm
pretty sure it's one I borrowed.
The 15th card is the Herald then, yeah?
Yeah, it must be. Side deck, we've got some going first help with Tikaboo. Tikaboo, my end board revolves around this card.
It just doesn't care about it.
It just doesn't care. So I have Beast, which is Beast, Arsenal Machine, IP, which is Cybers, Elf, which is Thunder. Then I'll have Toad, which is Aqua, and then normally I'll
if you're going into Apo, which is the fairy, then
I just go into Apo, which is a fairy. So it just doesn't care about this. And if you're playing against decks like Exo Sisters or Tea Elements, they have to play funny around this. Whereas my end board is built. This is a very hard going first deck. And then I've got a lot of going second cards on my side. I've got Twin, Harpies.
Yep, makes sense.
And then
Twin over Cyclone.
Twin over Cyclone, because I don't really care about the discard. If I draw a swap frog, I just discard it. If I draw,
it's not a thing anymore, so you don't care about you just want to ban you don't care about having to banish. The pop's just as good, right?
I lose that many life points through mutants and starters themselves, because mutant you lose life points when you use his
Sprite
effect,
starter as
and
well.
then you Sprite starter and that lose your life points as well. And I just chose this because I'd rather discard to destroy 2 than just pay more life points to destroy 1. banish one. 2 Dark Rulers.
Okay. Not the playset, just the 2.
Three Dark Rulers.
There's the third one. Okay. I was about to say, why not the set? But there it is. So there's no questions.
I just misorganised my side deck wrong. And then more going second cards. We got Pankratops because he's nuts. And then Dark Hole for them scummy decks that give you cards that don't want you to special summon. And then the last Raigeki because I couldn't find the playset of Dark Hole.
So this is like in place of your third Dark Hole, but like ignoring this, Dark Hole over a playset of this for things like Ibli and stuff. Like if they're putting anything on your board and you know they're gonna do it, this is because like this is gonna be the first thing you play anyway, right? So you might as well be a Dark Hole to clear your board,
exactly that,
and then it just lets you play.
Yes, exactly that. If I had a Dark Hole, if I had a third Dark Hole, this would be gone. It'd just be Dark Hole, and that would be my going second cards there.
Okay.
This would be sided in, and probably these as a mandatory minimum going second side in.
So with the question is about like obviously harpies, right? Like it's just harpies. So question about this over cyclone is, so you feel like you can maintain enough hand advantage that you could afford the discard with twisters.
Yes.
Because like I know do you get any benefits from discarding anything from twisters? So like if you're going to twisters discard something, do you have an optimal target or is it just...
Not immediately, but kind of the plan is if we get material in the graveyard and we get the mutant boss monster out, he can banish cards from field, hand or graveyard to get an Omni Negate. So if I draw 2 cards that are dead and I don't really need them, I can just discard them for twin.
Yeah. And
that's later banish fodder for my boss monster.
Oh, as well, you need to explain the what's quite a nice synergy here, which I know you've not explained yet. Please explain. Where is it? Please explain this. Please explain this with
totally awesome
with like your mutants. So like when you've got I know you were telling it about me earlier. I know you've not said it yet, so please tell me about this.
So you've
got your Toad on field, and you've got like
my most common end board is at a minimum this.
So like space sprite combo as end board minimum.
Yeah, as a minimum I've got this, and if I'm lucky I might have a double cross set, but if I'm lucky.
But it's not just this though, because you got the mutants as well, right? Like this is where it.
I would say this is the
nicely.
Absolute minimum.
At minimum you're playing sprite.
Yeah. If I just run the sprite engine, I've got this. But if I'm running the mutants as well, sometimes like they tribute themselves for costs, so they go to grave. So let's put an ST in grave, an M in grave, whatever, because that's probably the effects I probably would have used.
Thinking more the big boys. Give me some big boys on field. Because I want you to just explain. It's just a nice interaction that means like the mutants kind of don't cost anything. If that makes sense.
So I would say probably this is my most common end board.
Yeah. I know. Trust me. I've seen it. I've seen this today, so I'm well aware that this is your common end board.
This is my common end board with these 2 set, and I normally prioritize Totally Awesome as an Omni Negate. So if they activate, I'm just trying to grab a spare card. They activate DD Crow for whatever.
Let's say I activate Crow on you, on your whatever. You towed it.
I towed it.
And you set this.
Now I activate Toad Effect to set. Toad Effect to add back a water. We get Mutant back to hand. They summon a monster. I'll activate Elf. If they don't summon a monster, we'll activate Sprite Double Cross to summon this back anyway, because why not?
Yeah.
But if they don't...
So that's coming back regardless?
It's coming back regardless, no matter how they play it. It's fine.
You're getting your free body, right?
Yeah, we're getting a free body, and we're not doing anything with it. So then, after this, they activate a spell. So I can activate Beast, and I have to banish one for cost. So I'll banish the card that they gave me from Awesome as cost, to then banish one of their cards.
So in essence, it's like, yes, the mutants have these costs where you have to get rid of your own cards, but if you've toaded before, you're taking their cards, and
I'm banishing
you're banishing
their
them
cards
for
as cost. So if they try to Druis Worm one of my Sprite monsters, I'm like, nah, Tome Negate. I take their Druis Worm, and then I'll use...
And you're going to bring the toe back somehow, either with this or with that, right?
Yeah, and it's either or. And if I'm absolutely forced to use these two, I can still use Mutant Cry, and when Mutant Cry resolves, I can either summon this, which is an Omni Negate, as long as I can